Cool. So yeah, Mike, you and I have been hanging around the Wolf Den and Nick Peterson and Dan Nicholson for quite some time now. And so both of us have gotten pretty accustomed with, some of these certainty principles, the certainty operating system that we talk about in the Whale Club. Tell me about one of the principles that's been impactful to you in your business.
Well, the idea of owning a business is to create freedom and to create for me time freedom more than anything else. I've got 4 kids. I love spending time with them. However, I also am very competitive and love to do deals. And sometimes I get excited about this next deal or that next deal. And within real estate, with what I do primarily to generate income, flipping houses and assigning houses, and also owning rental property. Sometimes if you don't have a vision for exactly what you do, you can get caught up in the trap of just doing more just for the sake of doing more, just because you see this guy over here and you're in social media and he's crushing it and he just did a big deal and you're like, oh man, I feel good for that guy, maybe, or maybe I need to be doing more because that guy looks like he's having an awesome time. And, and so, I've been in this game a long time, and there's still a little bit of that I struggle with when I see that happen. And so, what I have to be reminded of, there's principles that I've kind of tried to live by. And then when you hear it differently, which is within the Whale Club and within the Wolf Den, it's the idea of closer versus more. When you hear somebody articulate in a way where you're like, oh, now I'm really solidified on what I need to be doing and how I need to be doing it and how I need to be looking at deals and my business. And so the idea again is, have you defined exactly how much income that you need to operate your family? Have you defined how much is it to operate your operating costs for your business? And then, what does it look like? What does it look like? Do you have a 3 or 5 year plan? What's your timeline horizon? Or are you just operating out of the principle of, I'm just going to go out there and crush it and make as much money as possible and then, just blow it out. And so the closer versus more principle is, how do you operate or create your operating system, create your businesses so it gets you closer to what you really want, mm-hmm. and not more? Because I'll ask you, Paul, what's easier, 2 kids or 4 kids?
I'd say 2.
Right. So what's easier to manage, $2 million or $20 million?
Probably 2.
Right. It takes, like, if somebody gave me $20 million right now, I don't have the financial literacy to even, if somebody gave that to me, just gave it to me, I wouldn't handle it well. I know I would probably blow up. But if I earned that over time and understood the principles that it took to get to there, I'd be more apt to be able to keep it and do well with it. More kids is definitely harder, right? Because it's more time, more effort. It's definitely worth it, right? But if I gave you 4 kids today in your household, right? It would kind of be disruptive. And so getting closer to what you want versus just more is definitely a principle that I've tried to adopt in my household and my business.
Yeah. I got an example I wanted to share with you. There was a point in time when we were talking about building a fund for this crypto stuff that we're doing, right? We were going to set up a fund and we were going to raise money and go after it. And it was like, this fund that we were talking about was this open-ended, like, we're going to raise 50 million, 100 million, $500 million for this. And I caught myself saying, like, wait a second, just because you can do that Like, how does that have anything to do with you? Right. And what I realized was there were other opportunities that got me closer to what we call the solvable problem, right? The things that we say we want, we turn our goals into a math equation. And it was like, well, what I was doing is I have no problem sharing. My goal is $10 million in core capital, right? And I want to have 10 million and I want that to produce 10% return, very reliable return. That should solve my money problems. But I was going after a solution that was significantly higher than that potentially. And why, right? In the interest of chasing more, because it sounded good. So what happens is we have a tendency to take off into business and entrepreneurship and then get distracted by all the opportunity and all the possibilities that are there. You were telling me a little bit about this whole boring business kind of thing, because I made some comment to you at one point and I was like, I mean, I want my reliable businesses, my consistent, and real estate is that for me. My reliable business should not take up much time, energy, effort, right? I want a lot of options. And I'm like, I just want it to be boring. Just want it to be cash flow. But then what happens? We get a bunch of money in. And what do we say? We're like, let's scale. Let's go into another market. Let's buy another marketing, channel. Let's hire 2 more salespeople. It's like, hold on a second. Are you chasing more? Or are you actually getting closer to the things that you say you want in life?
Mm-hmm. It's so easy to fall into that trap. And for full transparency, I fell into it. I've had great marketing channels, and we've done well with them. And I thought, okay, I had a life event happen, had a partnership that ended. It ended well, but I wanted to show, hey, I can do more, just for the sake of doing more, not because I needed to. And it was more is this thing called ego. I don't know if you have one, but the ego.
I've heard of it.
Yeah, the ego came out and said, you know what, I'm just go out and crush it. And so what I didn't do is really sit down, think through why. If I would have done that, then maybe I wouldn't have spent a ton of money on marketing that didn't work and been closer to where I really wanted to go. So, I mean, anybody can fall in that trap. We do it all the time. You describe the life of a flipper, a wholesaler. Is we do a bunch of deals and we see that bank account go, and we're like, okay, now let's go spend it all. And we're like, wait a minute, why? And spend it all. You're trying to create more opportunity instead of getting closer to what you want. So,
well, more opportunity is not necessarily a bad thing. We are saying, though, you have to have clarity on what you want. It's
right.
It's the entrepreneur who says that they want more time with their kids. Yet every time they get more money in their business, they're growing their business. They're going into new markets. They're taking more time away from their family. And that's not wrong. It's just, it's conflicting with what you say you want, right? Lack of clarity, lack of understanding of where you're trying to get to. It's like that Alice in Wonderland, Cheshire Cat, right? Like, if which way should I go? Like, well, I don't know. Which way are you headed? Like, I don't know. Well, then it won't matter, right? We just make decisions because it's like more money or more influence or more insert whatever the currency is that you're getting from that. But everything has a trade-off. We have to recognize that there's a trade-off in every decision we make. And in business, I violate this constantly, right? So it's just this constant challenge. I appreciate you bringing that up. That's probably one of my favorite principles as well. How do we get closer to the things that we want without chasing more, without excess, least amount of risk, least amount of effort, most amount of options, as we say, right?
Right.
Awesome. Anything else you want to add?
No, I think you just quoted Milton Friedman there. Not Milton Friedman. Is that Milton Friedman? Thomas Sowell there. When you said, okay, now my brain's not working. But you have trade-offs. Everything is a trade-off. That's what it is. Everything is a trade-off. So, but that's good. Closer versus more. If people get that concept, it's something that you need, like it has to resonate. It's kind of like it needs to boomerang in your head every day while you're looking at your business.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. Well, Thanks for sharing. Obviously, this is the type of stuff we talk about in the Whale Club. So if anybody's interested, check us out at blockchainwhales.com. We're going to keep pumping these videos out. So thanks for coming in today, Mike.